Hi guys and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going through my personal best ever Premier League 11. Now before we get into it, remember that it is just my opinion and it'd be very interesting to see what your guys' best Premier League 11 is. So if you leave those in the comments down below, it'd be a very, very interesting read for myself and everyone else to get involved. It'd be really nice. But we'll get straight into it. I am going to be going with a 4-4-2, and just something else to take note is these are the players that I'm using from probably about 1999 or 2000 onwards, because that's when I really would have had, you know, a fully functioning brain as to whether a player is decent or not. So we're going with a 4-4-2, starting off with the goalkeeper. Now I had many options to go for, and it was really, really difficult. Of course, we had the likes of Peter Schmeichel, who is usually people's favourite, but I think I only really kind of saw him towards the back end of his career. I didn't really manage to see him, live and what have you, in his real glory days for Manchester United. I'd seen him play when he played for City, physically when I watched Sunderland play City and stuff. And obviously I'm fully aware of how good of a goalkeeper he was. But a player that I saw more of, and he's also actually an ex-Manchester United keeper, is Edwin van der Sar, who for me was just an absolutely top class goalkeeper. Of course you have Petr Cech, he was amazing in his Chelsea days, and other goalkeepers like that. David James at one point, when he played for Portsmouth, he was up there with one of the best, because I think it was, I can't remember what it was. It was a run of clean sheets that had never been done before, and he was absolutely insane. De Gea in recent years, but for me, Van der Sar was just such a beast. He's a big lad. He was so commanding in the air, and he was a leader as a goalkeeper. So for me, in my best Premier League 11, it's probably going to cause a bit of controversy, but yes, it is Edwin van der Sar. I think he was just a class keeper, and if you've got him between the sticks, you know you're going to be safe. Now onto the left back position. Again, there was quite a few I could have gone for, but I have gone for Ashley Cole, who for me I think is the best ever Premier League left back. He was great in the tackle, he was great at getting forward, he had so much pace, he was aggressive, tenacious, and I think he was just an absolutely perfect left back really, because he could defend and he could get forward. He sort of created the first sort of left back that would really bomb forward. Of course, you have the likes of Roberto Carlos as well, but we're talking about the Premier League. Roberto Carlos was definitely the first ever sort of left back that I saw that I almost associated as a left wing back. But in the Premier League, Ashley Cole, he was just that. Maybe not as good as Roberto Carlos, but for me, Ashley Cole was the best ever Premier League left back. Absolutely excellent for both Arsenal and Chelsea. He was just absolutely class. Won tons of medals, won tons of trophies, and rightly so, because he was so good at that role. But now moving on to the right back position, maybe a surprise inclusion as well, maybe not for you guys. Of course, you've got the likes of Gary Neville, you have Loren, who was excellent for Arsenal as well, Azpilicueta in recent years. But for me, it's a player I have a bit of a soft spot for, and always did really. He was originally a centre-back, and he got shifted over to right-back whilst playing for Chelsea, and that is Branislav Ivanovic. Now for me, he didn't have a great amount of pace, but he was an absolute beast, and he was decent with his feet for such a big lad. He was great in the tackle. He was so aggressive, which is a theme you'll find in this top 11. He was just so aggressive, and he scored goals. That was the main thing for me. The amount of important goals that man got from a right-back position was just absolutely insane. Getting forward, he was incredible in the air. So I think those two, Ashley Cole at left-back, Ivanovic at right-back, I think that was probably the best I could really do from the pool of players that I do have to go with. Of course, like I say, there was Loren, Gary Neville. In recent years, you've got Azpilicueta and Kyle Walker, who was close to being in my top 11. But for me, I just don't think anyone beats Ivanovic, because he's just such a beast. But moving on to the centre-back positions, it is probably the best centre-back partnership I've ever seen in the Premier League. And that is Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. They were just absolutely top class, and the partnership that them two had was just unbreakable. It was insane. I mean, Vidic was the sort of aggressive player. He'd break up the play. If Vidic was beaten, you had Rio Ferdinand's pace and strength. Ferdinand was great with his feet on the ball. Vidic weren't bad with the ball either, but they were both just such leaders at the back, and it was one of the best United defences I've ever seen, when you had, Ever on the left, you had Vidic and Ferdinand in the middle, Neville on the right, or whoever it might be on the right. But those two, as a centre-back partnership, were just incredible. They were probably the hardest defence to get through for quite some time whilst Vidic and Ferdinand were together, and that's why they won so many trophies together. But yeah, so that would have been my back line so far. Now, if we go over to the right-hand side of midfield, we have none other than Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, you do have the likes of David Beckham, and other players, but there's no one's getting anywhere near Cristiano Ronaldo, to be honest. Ronaldo, for me, it is the best right midfielder that we've ever seen in the Premier League. He was basically, he could play on the right or the left, but he was mainly for Manchester United. He played on the right-hand side. He grew at Manchester United. I remember seeing him on his debut and his first season for the club. He was a bit weak. He was, very greedy. He was trying to do a million step-overs and falling over the ball all the time, but you could see that he was a player that, he was going to grow into something special. Everyone could see it from a mile off, and, within a season or two, he'd become one of the best players ever to play in the Premier League. He was just scoring goals for fun. He would walk past teams and score himself. He had moments of magic coming out of his arse, and he was probably the most exciting player I've ever seen in the Premier League, and he's gone on to be one of the best players ever to grace the game. Do you know what I mean? And he was just absolutely incredible for Manchester United. So the right midfielder I'm going to go for is Cristiano Ronaldo. Now on the left-hand side, again, there was an abundance of players. Overmars, Perez for that left-hand side. But I have gone for Ryan Giggs. You can't really go much further than Ryan Giggs, can you? In his prime, he had pace and abundance. He was very intelligent on the ball. He'd come up with moments of magic. His assist ratio, he scored in every season he ever played for Manchester United. Most caps for United. The most caps, I think, in the Premier League ever. In fact, Ryan Giggs. But he was just an incredible professional. He did well for Wales. He was fantastic for United. And he's just an absolute Premier League legend. And there isn't really anyone else who can come near him, to be honest with you. But now, for probably the most difficult positions for me to choose, the centre of midfield. Of course, you've got Lampard, you've got Roy Keane, you've got Gerrard. There's just loads. There's an absolute abundance of central midfielders that you could have gone for. But my favourite Premier League central midfielder of all time is Patrick Vieira. So Patrick Vieira gets in there. He's a captain, a leader. He's strong. He can score. He was actually quite quick, to be honest with you, for a big lad as well. But he is such a leader, and he demanded and commanded that midfield. And I think he would complement the player I'm going to put next to him so well, and that is Paul Scholes. Undoubtedly the best passer of a football I've ever seen. And his vision is second to none. Absolutely world class, and he will pop up with worldies all the time in terms of goal scoring as well. Even in recent times when he's playing in charity games and what have you, he's still the best passer I've ever seen. Do you know what I mean? Because you just don't lose that. His vision is just absolutely outstanding, and some of the thunderbolts he gets and the volleys on the edge of the area as well, gets important goals. That's why, again, he won so much with Manchester United, and just an incredible player. And I think Messi actually labelled him as one of the best players he's ever seen as well. So, you can't argue with Messi, so you can't argue with me. But for those two, I would have loved to see them two play together. An aggressive player like Vieira alongside Scholes. Of course, Scholes did play alongside the likes of Roy Keane, who's also a very aggressive player and also a very good leader. But for me, I just preferred Patrick Vieira. I think he had that technical ability over Roy Keane as well as everything else. But those two together, I think, would be absolutely insane. Both of them players in their prime. Now, up top, again, this was really difficult because you've got Wayne Rooney, who was insane when he first broke onto the scene. You have Van Nistelrooy, who was probably one of the best goal poachers you'll ever see in the league, in the Premier League. But I have gone with Thierry Henry from Arsenal, of course, from his Arsenal days, who was just incredible. Again, he had pace, strength, acceleration. Was just it was terrifying, his acceleration on the ball. I remember actually seeing Henry at the Stadium Light, and I think we were 4-0 down after about 40 minutes, and we were literally clapping Thierry Henry because he was just taking the absolute piss out of us. He was doing kick-ups down the left-hand side, coming inside, getting assists, getting goals, and he just took the absolute mick out of us that day. But it was a joy to watch. I hate seeing Sunderland lose, but when you're witnessing class like that, you can't help but cheer them on because they're just so frigging good. But yeah, he's an Arsenal legend, he's a Premier League legend, and one of the best goal scorers I've ever seen in the Premier League. So Henry is up there, and alongside him, this was probably the most difficult one. But again, it was a relatively easy decision at the same time because, we've seen so many good goal scorers in the Premier League. Aguero in recent years as well. But this man, for me, he was just unstoppable on his day. Probably one of the most unstoppable players when he's on form to come up against, and that is Didier Drogba. Because the strength, the pace he had, he bullied any defender that come his way. He would bully him. Doesn't matter whether the defender's bigger than him, stronger than him, more physically bulky than him. Didier Drogba just bullied the lot of them, and he was scoring goals for fun. He won trophies with Chelsea, he won the Champions League with Chelsea. He was just an incredible, incredible player and such a good professional. Because when he first come to Chelsea, we thought, oh, he might struggle. He come from a foreign league, and it was when a real influx of foreign players were coming through to the Premier League. And Chelsea, of course, just gone through their takeover, and we were a bit unsure as to what he would bring to the table. But he ended up becoming one of the best goal scorers and the best strikers the Premier League has ever seen. So that is my Premier League 11. I'll put it up on screen for you now. You let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Premier League 11? And like I said at the beginning of the video, let me know what your favourite or best ever Premier League 11 would be. But if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sassy Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.